everyone. Right now we're just going to do a quick video on your emergency buckets. So people in the finance world talk about how important it is to have your emergency bucket, and Matt's going to share a little bit about what that is. So my name is Luz, you guys know me, and this is Matt Gorin, and he's a financial advisor, also a fiduciary.
That's right.
Who works on this stuff all the time, and dear friend of mine, and excited to have him here talking about these many topics. So the emergency savings bucket, for myself, I call it the prosperity, I call it the comfort bucket, because I don't like the word emergency.
Sure.
But you can call it whatever you want. Anyway, so emergency bucket, what can you tell us about it?
Yeah, so if you think about this process of developing your financial life, once you get your budget straightened out, you're making a positive amount of money every month. The next thing to tackle is fill up this emergency bucket, emergency savings account. This is a really important thing for developing your life, because you're protecting yourself against small emergencies that might happen. You get hurt, you have to skip a few days of work.
And these things will happen.
They will happen. And you've got an amount of money that's sitting there that allows you to dip in when you need to.
And it needs to be liquid. It's very important that it's liquid. I just very recently had a death in the family. And because I've set up the system in a way that I'm able to see my emergencies bucket, I was able to pull money from that emergency bucket. And I knew that rent was covered, and I knew that I would have enough money for food, and I had enough money for all these other things. So to the extent that you can, and I think everybody needs to do this, especially if you're feeling a little bit anxious about the security in your job, whether you might be fired, whether you need to move on, then you really need to think about your emergency bucket. So highly recommend it.
Right. So get in a little bit more detail. How much money should you have in this thing, and where should it actually be? Mm-hmm. And we're again talking basically about just cash, just straight cash that you should have somewhere. So the first step is
not in a drawer.
Not under your mattress.
Hopefully not.
Account somewhere.
I've heard of people doing this.
Yes, we've got horror stories.
Yes.
So the first thing to think about is how much are you spending approximately every single month, and so what are your monthly expenses, and multiply those monthly expenses by on the more liberal end. You have a more stable life. You're not really worried about money too much. By 4, have 4 times your monthly expenses. And if you have a less stable life, you might be worried about income coming in. By 6, have 6 times your monthly expenses sitting in a savings account. To put that into concrete terms, if you have $2,000 of expenses every single month, then you should have between $8,000 and $12,000 in an emergency savings account somewhere.
And it should be, to some extent, not easy to access, transfer. So what I've been guilty of doing is that when I had my emergency bucket within my banking system, I would just transfer money, be like, I have money sitting there, I'm going to move it over into this thing. And so what you want to do is make sure that you need to pay yourself first, and especially this is your emergency savings bucket, so it needs to be full, it needs to be there. And so to the extent that you can, make sure that it's not easy for you to transfer money out of it. It's kind of inaccessible. I opened up a whole new account, and so maybe you do have to do that, maybe you don't have to do that, but definitely have your money in a place that is liquid, easy to access, easy enough to access. By easy to access, I meant it's liquid. You can pull it out.
It's not risky tech stocks, basically.
Yeah. Great. Well, thank you, Matt. This is, again, Emergency Buckets, and check out our other videos on financial empowerment.